Hello folks, as I said in the last video, this video is about healthcare services, mainly about housekeeping and my laundry. Very little about, the kitchen for now. There might be more about the kitchen in the future. I've got I've talked about the kitchen in at least one other video. It doesn't specifically say healthcare services. I'll have to look for it and add them in the title. But this one here that was, I think, when the other guy was here, the other manager, before they changed managers. She's doing a better job, but when she's not here, it's foobarred all over again. It's like when the cat's away, the mice will play. That's what it seems like. As far as what she's telling me, people could say anything they want to, and it doesn't really necessarily mean it's true. So this time I'm going to say, all right, let's start off with the laundry. Healthcare services laundry. The woman, since I've been here for 10 months. I've lost a total of, I don't know, 8 or 10 pair of pants. I've lost 3 or 4 pair of shorts. And I've lost, I think, 3 shirts. Because I like this shirt here. When they take off my pants, I keep the shirt. So I wear the shirt for several days because I don't do anything except sit in my chair, my wheelchair. And then I'll change it out just because, after a couple of days, it's got to be, getting ripe or whatever. But I try to hold on to my pants, even though, they get, sometimes if they get a little bit, tiny bit of urine on them or whatever, I'm like, I can't lose any more pants. So I don't bother. I say, just put them in the chair. I'll wear them again tomorrow. And then, after a couple of days, I got to go ahead and put them in the laundry and just hope. Because of the MS, it's hard for me to do that. But just hope. Cross my fingers. Whatever. Just hope that they come back from the laundry. Because right now, I've lost, there's a pair of pants in there I've never seen before. I don't know why. They're not mine. Well, there's a lot of them that aren't mine. But there's several pair of pants that were mine that have gone missing. I'm pretty sure I see other people wearing my pants. My sleep pants around the facility here. Because the old, they just got labels. It used to be your CNA would have whenever you would, this is what's supposed to happen. Whenever the CNA takes your pants off, they're supposed to make sure that your name is in them or ask you. And if it's not, they're supposed to write it in because I can't write my name. I can't write it all anymore. And then they make sure it's written in there so that when they goes to the laundry, it comes back. Now they have name tags, some kind of tags. I said, well, how do I get some of those? I don't think anyone's responded to me yet. So hopefully my pants that come back, well, hopefully they will come back because I have my name big letters on the back side, where the waistband is. So hopefully those will come back. A nurse did that. And they'll come back hopefully with one of those name tags so I can see what they're talking about. But before that, they didn't have them. So even though my name is on a lot of those pants that disappeared, like the night pants that are very dark in color, we tried everything. We just could not put my name on them. And I told the CNAs, I said, look, there's an issue with these because there's no marker that will actually write on these. I don't know how to put my name in these. And they said they take care of it. And I have one pair of pants. I don't think they're even mine. These sleep pants. Because mine were, they were like black, dark blue, and they had tiny red checks in them. I think that was the majority of them. There might have been the black and dark blue checks as well. But these ones that I'm thinking of are like, they're like dark gray and black. And I don't remember ever seeing those other than on other people. So, I mean, it may be, but I think the other ones were mine. The ones with the tiny red checks, I've seen those on other people. I'm pretty sure those are my pants. They look like they were about the right size and new, etc. and so on. They might not be mine, but then again, where are mine? So, you know, there's other stuff that, other pants gone missing. So right now, I only have that are mine. Actually, there's one pair of pants in there that are definitely mine. I wore them when I was, before I got crippled, and I was only like 13% body fat. When I was a bodybuilder, they were extra large. But I can't wear them with, you know, in the chair. So I did, like, I had to wear them a couple of times going to get my infusion or something. But, you know, what was that? Oh, that was back when I was, yeah, I can't wear them. They're just too small for me. Let's just put it that way. So they're up there, but I never wear them. I might be able to with these pulled. They're like the pens that I wear in the chair, maybe. But then I can't use the urinal. So, which is like a, I don't know, look it up. But I can't use the urinal without having to cut a fly basically into them. These are sweatpants. So other than that, there's no pair of pants I have in there at all. That's the only pair that's mine. The sleep pants, like I said, I don't think are mine. Those went today to the laundry. There's a pair of like copper colored sweatpants that aren't mine. I have no idea where they came from. I think that's all that's in there right now. So, there should be, like I said, 3 pairs of sleep pants that are mine. Is it? Well, I threw one pair away because the CNA cut them really bad. I mean, so bad I just couldn't wear them anymore. I had to throw them away. You know, the reason I cut them the way I do, the sweatpants, is I cut them off to one side, like where my hip is, so that my sister's supposed to bring me Velcro so I can Velcro them shut, but so that I can pull them open to use the urinal and then use the Velcro to shut them up again. But if they do happen to open, all you're going to see is maybe my leg. That's it. Well, you know, so that's what I have to do. There's been, in most of those that have those cuts that were in there that have gone missing, they weren't even mine anyway. You know, they were actually, at least one pair was a woman who died, and she was big. They were actually maybe 3 or 4X, something like that. They were a little bit big on me. But I cut them and they worked out pretty well. And there were several pair like that. Several pair of sweatpants like these are copper. There might be the brown ones they kept bringing back to me, but they faded a lot, if that's what they are. Because there were some brown sweatpants that they kept bringing in here. They weren't mine, but they said they put my name on them and stuff. So all totaled, there's right now missing. I've only got one pair in there that's behind. One pair I threw away. There was 2 pair that went missing at the other nursing home. So that's, what is that? That means that there's 7 pair, 6 or 7 pair missing from here. And the other nursing home over in Decatur, River City Center, pretty sure they use healthcare services through system services. They use the same company for their laundry, their housekeeping, etc. Pretty sure because they have the same shirt. Unless it just looks the same. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it's the same company. Well, I suppose it's the case if somebody worked for this company and then went over there and they happen to have that shirt on. But I think it's a uniform shirt. But anyway, over here, it's far worse as far as laundry, than over there was. I mean, I think pretty much that they lost a couple of pair of pants. But for the most part, everything came back, I think, after that. I think that first pair of pants was, because I didn't know I had to put my name in them, and the CNA didn't do it, which they should be doing, but, you know. So that's as far as the laundry goes. There's just a lot of, I mean, that's not just me, it's everybody here. There's a whole rack of clothes in the TV room that don't have names on and nobody's claiming. I guess it's lost and found or something. And then they brought my pair of pants that this nurse put my name in and said, oh, these were in lost and found. They've been missing for like 2 weeks. And they brought them back. They brought them in here and said, these were in lost and found. I said, really? Why were they in lost and found when they had my name in big letters on the back? I don't understand that, because the nurse did it herself. So, but anyway, that's it. I've lost a lot of clothes, and I wish that would stop. The woman that was here before, it was, I think 2 pair of pants went missing with her. But it was like getting clothes would be like a couple of days wait. Now, hell, I wait for weeks at a time and don't see anything. And then all of a sudden, like this shirt I just got back yesterday, I think. And this shirt had been in there for, well, you can probably see every time I have the shirt on, I think I've made a video. So go back and see how long, when the last time I made a video was with the shirt on. And that's how long I waited for the shirt to come back. And in the meantime, this shirt has come back, I think, 3 times while I was waiting for those pants that were in lost and found to come back. So this shirt got dirty, got cleaned 3 times before I ever saw those pants again. So maybe somebody else wore them, they went into the laundry or whatever. I don't know what happened. But that's the laundry. The laundry needs work for sure. The woman that was here before did a much better job on laundry, even though, things were hard. It was hard for her to get things done and all that. She was much better than this guy so far. As far as she was the manager, they changed her out, and she used to also do the laundry. Housekeeping. The woman that was here before, a lot better on the housekeeping side. There's a woman here that does housekeeping. I'm looking at my mirror right now. When I first got here, let me go back. When I first got here, there was a guy he retired after he had been here after I had been here for like a month or 2. He retired. And he used to come through. I was amazed at how much he did. Because he'd wipe stuff down, he'd wipe tables down. He'd do the floors, trash, etc. He'd take care of the whole room. And then he'd be gone. And it wasn't until he left I started to realize just how much he did, because then he kept switching back and forth. But there was one girl in particular who used to do a really good job. She ended up leaving, but she At first, she was slow on the slow side because she was getting to know everything. But I think that was intentional because she was new. She just wanted to make sure she got everything right. And then within a couple of days, she got to where, you know, she'd get things done. She'd come in here pretty much the same time every day. And I talked to her, but she would do everything, you know. The only thing she didn't do a couple of times was, it might have been the bathroom, like just mopping, but I don't use the bathroom, so my father does. That's how I knew. But she's replaced the paper towels, so it checks the soap, and the clean the mirrors and wipe down the sink, all that stuff. Well, that mirror right now, I'm looking at it. It has, I think, the CNA must have been mad at me and just slung water is running all the way across that mirror that's above the sink right now. And you can see where it's run down all the way to the bottom. Well, that mirror's been like that for a couple of weeks now because the woman who does housekeeping, she doesn't bother to clean that area, really. When she does the floor, what she does is she doesn't sweep at all. She just mops. And if you need to sweep, she uses the mop to pull stuff out there. Now, I'm trying to think. In most cases, you could do that, but like there are sometimes that I'm shaving, and the CNAs told me shave on the floor. Well, now if you're using the mop to sweep, all you're really doing is spreading, a hair stubble all over the floor. And other people who have, biohazards on the floor, you know, there's some people that have taken leaks and threw up. I'm sure if she's doing that, well, first of all, not using a different mop. But the whole point is, with her especially, she's been here, I think, she doesn't come in here every day. That's a problem. And then when she does, she says, sometimes she comes in, she says, all I'm doing is changing your wastebasket liner, and that's it. She doesn't even sweep and mop. My floor went like 2 weeks without being mopped at one point. And I just don't understand what's going on with her. And she was up there. She did the woman next to me. She mopped because I saw her put the sign out that says the floor is wet. And she was out there. And I went, where did I go? I went to check the menu or something. Figured that while I was gone, she would go ahead, take care of my room, and then that was, while I'm waiting for the floor to dry or whatever, because she doesn't bring the mop out really well. The floor is pretty wet when I did it, I would twist to make sure that you clean the floor, but you didn't leave like water standing. And that's what she does. So I was going to, while I was checking the menu, give it time to dry. And I came back and I'm looking, she hadn't even been in here. She was gone. I'm like, where the heck is she? So I look up and she's all the way down the end of this other corridor, mopping something over there. I was like, oh, okay, well maybe, because there is an office over there. I thought, well, maybe the office person told her she had to clean something up. And then I saw her come back. She was back over here. Did she clean out her room at that time? Oh, I I went out to wait for her to come inside and clean up, right? So I was like just outside the door facing up the hallway, right? And she was in here doing something. I heard her in the bathroom. She changed my trash bag on a can here. And then, I looked over my shoulder and I saw her mopping over there by the door. So I figured she finished mopping. And then I was just staring up the hallway, and she went past me. And she went all the way down the other end of the hallway. And the guy who runs housekeeping and the laundry, he was down there. And they were talking to his CNA. Had to be a half an hour. She was down there just bullshitting with the CNA. And I'm like, well, I guess she's done, And I turned around and looked to see if my floor was dry yet. I was expecting it was mostly dry, just a little bit wet still. And it looked like she hadn't even mopped it. So I was like, what the heck? It was bone dry. There's still dirt marks on it from my tires and stuff. I honestly don't know if she even mopped it. I know she mopped over there. But I think she was using the mop as a broom because some of the stuff that I knew was in here was out in the hallway. And I think she just used the mop as a broom, but didn't actually mop the floor. But I don't know, So that's the situation there. And that there's times there's stuff like this, the behind this bed. When I got changed out with this bed, there was sheetrock laying in the floor all the way from one side of this bed to the other. And that's basically dirt. It's like a pile of dirt, right? It's just chalk, maybe you can think of it. But the sheetrock had just crumbled and fallen, and there was a pretty good pile back there. My pillow kept falling in it, and that pile of sheetrock was there for 3 weeks until the guy finally fixed the wall and puttied it. He's the one who cleaned it up. I have no idea why housekeeping didn't sweep it up. Well, she doesn't sweep anything, but why she didn't get the broom and just sweep that, I don't know. There's been cups on the floor because sometimes when the CNAs put the barrel where you can't get to it, and they bring my medicine, I'll drink the cup and I'll try to hit the basket, but every time it seems, well, I have MS, so I can't throw for a crap anyway. But it seems to bounce off and bounce across the floor and stuff. Well, I spent today, after she was in here, I spent, I don't know, probably half an hour just getting shit off the floor. Like cups. I think I took 5 cups off the floor, out from under the bed, out from under the table over here, and stuff like that. And generally, I don't complain about housekeeping. Because we've had some in the past that weren't that great, But this woman here, and then I heard her complaining about how she's got to get a different job because it's terrible here. And I'm like, what is she talking about? I mean, everyone in housekeeping who's come in here to clean my room said that my room is like the cleanest room in the building. And yet, it needs work from housekeeping at this point. So I know she, all right, maybe other people have really terrible stuff going on. I don't know. And that's what she's talking about. But the point is basically from what I've seen in my room, I don't see how this woman is working as a housekeeper. I really don't. She really needs to step it up, start sweeping, start really taking care of stuff. I don't think she's once checked the towels. I know she hasn't since this water's been slung across my mirror because it's been there for I don't know how many weeks now. I'm thinking, at least I noticed it about 2 weeks ago. So she hasn't done anything there. As far as cleaning the mirror and stuff, that, the girl that was here before, she used to clean that mirror, not every day, because some days it would look pretty good anyway, but if it had anything on it, she would wipe that mirror down. And she'd do it probably every other day, every third day at least, just to make sure that, it was clean. She'd clean the wall switches, she'd clean, because you can have a transfer of disease by touching stuff, right? So she would, just do various stuff in here that just needed to be done, like wiping my table down, wiping that table, or this is a chest of drawers, that table over there. She would wipe them down if they needed to. Sometimes even if they didn't, she'd just sanitize them. So this video is intended, this is 25 minutes so far. This is intended for healthcare services. So I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but as far as the kitchen staff goes, the new manager seems to be doing a better job, but her biggest issue seems to be employees. Her employees suck. I mean, I worked at a McDonald's for 2 years. I've done that everything from open to close at a McDonald's for 2 years. And I have no idea why these people cannot keep meals warm when they come to your room. I've sat out there and watched kitchen personnel bring the trays out to here and had it on my table within 5 minutes of seeing him exit the kitchen. And my food is at room temperature at best. Sometimes, and I have no idea why, but sometimes, I'll talk about two different situations. Sometimes parts of my meal have been colder than room temperature. Now this was a couple of months ago when it was colder outside, and I'm like, well, what did they do? They have some of this outside and bring it in and put it in the tray. I don't understand why some of it's colder than what the room temperature actually is, and the rest of it was room temperature, And then I've had, just not too long ago, I had a meal where it was, I think was it roast beef or something like that? But it was meat that was mixed up. And some of the meat was cold. And some of the meat was not really hot, but it was quite warm, where you could tell it had been cooked or heated up. And it was mixed together. So I took a bite, and I'm like, how did they do this? Some of it's cold, and some of it's, I hate to say hot, but you know what I mean. There's a temperature difference between the two, and they were mixed in together. And I've seen that happen before, but not to that degree. I've seen other French fries, hash browns, which we should call hash whites, because here they don't even cook them. They warm them up, I guess, because they don't even change color. They're still white. And then you eat them, and then some of them taste like they've been cooked, and some of them taste like raw potato. And they should all be brown. That's what it's right in the name, hash browns, right? This manager, she got some tater tots. And evidently, I don't know why, but the people could cook those no problem, because every time they came, sometimes they've been cold, and sometimes you can tell it's like the bottom of the bag, because there's like 3 actual tater tots, and the rest is just a crumbled up mess. But they're browned. They're actually cooked, because I cook them at home too. We used to when I was at home. And you have to cook them in order for them to taste like that. If you don't cook them, then they taste like raw potato. So pretty much these tater tots were cooked all the time. I don't understand why they did that, but they couldn't do that with the hash browns or hash whites. They've tried different versions of that. And the tater tots, the only thing that they can successfully, I guess, cook. Then they give us, and here's the other thing I don't get. They give us like mashed potatoes, right? I have several times said, I don't have a problem with mashed potatoes as long as you give me salt and butter. Nope. The last time I talked to the manager, because I wrote on my ticket because they weren't giving me salt. I told her, I said, just give me some salt. She said, okay, I'll make sure, because they don't do that. They don't give you the condiments. Now, it's occasionally they do, but it's like hit or miss, whether you get some or not. Sometimes I don't even get the silverware because I have to use built-up silverware, or I can't use regular silverware. And sometimes they give me regular silverware, so I have to eat with my fingers, or send a CNA back, or do it myself to get regular, built-up silverware. So, I mean, there is no consistency in what they give you, that's for sure. They should be giving us, one or two pepper, one or two salt, napkin, the proper silverware. I don't know if they do the whole handy wipes thing. Well, they probably don't because they got plenty of them here. But you know what I mean, just like a restaurant, just give you some condiments to use. And they don't do that. But what they did before was I talked to the manager about no salt. She said, okay, and then I'd get salt here and there. So then I put salt right on the ticket and underlined it, sent it. Well, they started sending me salt after that, but they would send me handfuls. Let me show you. I just happen to have one right here. This is a salt packet that they usually send, right? Now, these are cheapo salt packets because if you hold them up to the light, sometimes they're just empty. But it's not that much. You can tell like this one has salt in it. So they were giving me, entire handfuls of salt on my tray after that. Every single meal would have a handful of salt. I'm like, I'm all right with it, but you're wasting a lot of money by putting so much salt on the table because theoretically, when it goes back, they're supposed to throw it away because that's cross-contamination if they put it back in the box, right? So that's just huge amounts of salt that got thrown away. So I said something to the girl who takes care of the manager over there. Well, now I don't, like these two here are sitting here in case I need them because now it's back to hit or miss. Sometimes I get, salt. So like today I got, for supper, I got it was iced tea with some sweet and low. I don't eat sweet and low, so I'm not going to put that in there anyway. I only eat sugar, and that's sometimes. And if you try to put sugar in this iced tea, it's hit or miss because I've actually put, I think, 6 packets of sugar in a thing of tea, and I used to be ketogenic. I didn't eat sugar at all. So even a little bit of sugar usually takes me a long way, except for my coffee. I either have to do a bulletproof coffee or I have to have sugar and creamer. That depends on who makes it. But as far as iced tea, I put like 6 packets and it was still tasted so strong. I'm like, it's like there's no sugar in here at all. Because they don't know how to make iced tea. And then on top of that, instead of sugar, they send me sweet and low. I don't have sweet and low. I don't drink iced tea. I don't drink, I thought I'd try it. Now, one time they didn't know how to make it, so I don't even bother anymore. I tasted, I think it's cranberry juice, and it turns out to be iced tea. So, and it's unsweetened iced tea with sweet and low, but no salt, no pepper. Sometimes I don't even get a dessert. They send me chicken. The chicken is so dry, it's like biting into sand. It might be a good chicken if they would actually cook it properly and it had, like grease or something. It wasn't dry. So I told the girl who's manager, I said, well, anytime you send chicken tenders or whatever, send me like some ranch or something because it's so dry I can't handle it. And some of the medications they give us here gives you a dry mouth to begin with. And then on top of that, you have to eat chicken that's raw. And there for a long time with the other manager, the chicken was pink in the middle. I'm like, I'm not eating that. So then they changed, and all of a sudden, it wasn't pink in the middle anymore. There was one time I actually ended up eating something else. I think it was a couple of grilled cheese sandwiches or something. But they got some, or maybe I wasn't here. But in any case, they had like the lunch. They had chicken. I think it was if it's on a bone, I can't eat it. And I think it was that. It was like a chicken thigh or something. Well, they didn't cook it properly, and some people got sick. They sent it back, and that was this manager. But that was a one-time thing, But it was had that pinkish look to it. But since then that I know of, I've looked at it, and it's properly cooked. So I don't know why every single time we got chicken or turkey or whatever with that other manager, it was always pink because the managers have changed. But the people that work here, some of them are the same people, the cooks. I know some of them are the same. So why all of a sudden is the chicken and the turkey not pink in the middle? I don't get that. So when I worked at McDonald's, I used to cook for the McDonald's I was in happened to be on the way back from where UK went a lot, a lot of times. Sometimes they go out of their way just to go to McDonald's. I guess we were like a very good McDonald's because they used to come there all the time. So we would have 2 or 3 buses, Greyhound buses full of, cheerleaders and basketball players or football players or whatever that would come into the parking lot. And when they would see them coming in, they would say, oh, put down 48 regulars, And so when I worked in the kitchen, I would have to, if I was on the regular grill or the quarter grill, back then we had grills when I was a kid, I would have to put down 48. That's how many would fit, how many regular cheeseburgers. The meat would fit on the grill at a time was 48. And I think it was like 24 or something like that for quarter pounders because they're bigger, obviously. But, if I was on a regular, they'd say 48. Well, I would have to cook 48 cheeseburgers or hamburgers or whatever and turn around and dress out the buns all by myself. Sometimes I'd have a helper. They'd bring a helper in if they could. But sometimes it was just me. There were times when it was just me that did everything for the entire time the UK was there. So I have to dress out these buns all within 5 minutes. And this is 48 hamburgers or cheeseburgers or Big Macs or whatever they happen to be. It depends on whoever was working the bin would tell me how many of each I needed to make. So I dress them out, then I put the burgers on. They were always fresh. They were always well cooked. They were always, warm when the people ate them. But yet here, these people have problems keeping stuff warm, cooking stuff properly. I mean, I get stuff, I've actually looked it up. The turkey patties that they give you are supposed to be cooked when they get here, even though they say that they're pre-cooked. They're pre-cooked so that they won't go rancid in shipping or whatever. But you still have to cook them. And they're not completely pre-cooked because they know that you're going to cook them when they get here. So obviously, you're going to overcook them if they're completely cooked, right? Like ready to serve or whatever. Well, here, what it seems that they do a lot of the times is they will defrost what they're making, and that's it. And I think they're defrosting it in the oven, which I've done before, but that's called defrosting. That's not actually cooking. You still have to cook the stuff. Well, I've looked it up, the turkey patties in particular. They're supposed to actually cook them when they come. They're pre-cooked, but they're supposed to cook them again and make sure that when they're served, that the meat thermometer says, what is it, 160 degrees, I think it is, They don't do that because when it gets here, it's cold. So they're not doing that with poultry. And I won't even eat the ham. You know, I'll eat bacon and I'll eat breakfast sausage because I know that that's been cured and cooked. I can see it, you know. Whereas when you're talking about, you know, pork, I hate pork chops. I hate most pork. But like the ham dish has so much, I don't know how they managed to get so much ham that's full of gristle because I've had ham at Christmas dinner and it doesn't have that much gristle in it. But anyway, they're not cooking that crap either. They're not cooking it correctly. They're just warming it up, like putting it under heat lamps or putting it in a steam tray or whatever. They're not actually cooking it. When I worked at McDonald's, we did the same exact sausage patties for breakfast. And what we would do is cook them on the grill. And then after we cooked them on the grill, we would keep them hot by putting them in a tray that stayed on the grill. And then, you know, I had the two little metal things, feet that I would sit on. And then when we would cook the egg McMuffins, we would take the sausage out. And that's how we would keep them warm. We would have like a tray inside with holes in it and a little bit of water in the bottom, and that would keep them moist and it would keep them hot and keep them on the grill in the corner while we make the, you know, the egg McMuffins and that. They don't do that here because as stuff gets here, it might be cooked on the very edges maybe, but it's not cooked because the middle parts of the meat looks raw. It's not really raw, but it's not cooked either because part of the flavor that we get is the way that it's cooked. For instance, I hate boiled hot dogs. My sister loves boiled hot dogs. I love fried hot dogs. My sister hates fried hot dogs. So it's two different flavors, you know. That also goes to like sausage, kielbasa, whatever. The kielbasa we get here, it's heated up and that's about it. But when I was a personal trainer getting into that and doing weightlifting, sometimes I would go and I would get sausage because it was pre-cured. If it was cured, it meant I could eat it right out of the package. So I know that sometimes it depends on whether it's been cured or not, because some stuff isn't cured at all. It's you have to make sure that it has been smoked or whatever. Well, some of the kielbasa we get has been heated, and that's it. You can tell because it doesn't have the texture of actually being cooked. So, and that's a big issue here, is that a lot of stuff that we get, it's not being cooked properly. Well, you're put it in the oven. Well, you're not supposed to. You're actually supposed to cook that on a griddle. You know, a metal griddle or, you know, something of that nature. You're supposed to actually cook it on. You're supposed to fry it. You're not supposed to put it in an oven. You know, and this is another thing that used to really tick me off. I even told them how to cook it. And this was grilled cheese, which is on the menu. I don't get it. I don't receive those grilled cheese anymore because of how much I complained. And I complained because they're not cooking. They weren't cooking them. They would put, yes, they are cooked. No, they're not. Because if it was grilled cheese, it looked like a grilled cheese. These look like cheese sandwiches with butter on them. That's what they were giving us. And what they were doing was, I guess, waving it underneath a heat lamp or something to make the cheese, like it would start to melt together. But you could still, if you peeled it apart, you could still see like two pieces of square cheese laying on top of each other, but they were like stuck together. You weren't getting an actual grilled cheese where it's been grilled, the butter's been, you know, browned and all of that stuff. You didn't get that. So I told them, this is how you make grilled cheese in an oven. Because that's what she told me. So in the oven, I'm like doing stuff separately or whatever. I said, fine. This is how you do it. You preheat the oven to 460, and then it's 3 to 5 minutes per side in the oven, depending on how crispy you want it to be. You know, whether you want it to be really toasty or just barely toasty. That's the 3 to 5 minutes, right? Never. That I think 5, 6 times complained these are not cooked, and she kept telling me they were cooked. Then after that, I would always, if grilled cheese was on the menu, well, they took it off the menu totally. And then when this new manager came in, it went back on the menu once that I know of. And when it did, I got the alternate meal and everyone else got the grilled cheese. So I have no idea if the grilled cheese was cooked properly. But I was complaining about it because it wasn't. It was basically like a cheese sandwich. And it was just like a stale cheese sandwich that had some butter on it on the outside. That's what it was, basically. Especially since it was cold when it got here anyway. And then a lot of times the drinks that we have, like cranberry juice, orange juice, whatever, is warmer than the food. Now figure that one out. How do you get something? And then sometimes I'll go and look at in there, and they have the dinner time drinks laid out on the table with ice in them at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Dinner is at 6. So they have them sitting there for hours. And I talked to the previous manager, and he's like, oh, well, they put it there, but then it goes into the refrigerator until it's time. Okay, except when I get mine, the ice is melted all but a tiny little piece of cube. And then what that does is that the ice that you put in there, it means that there's just a bunch of water sitting on top, right? And when it's like a cranberry juice or an orange juice, that's why when you look in there, the orange juice, because it's from concentrate, is sitting at the bottom. And then you have a bunch of water on top. Part of it is because of this stupid ice thing that they're doing, this whatever they're doing with us, keeping it cold and putting ice in it or whatever. So anyway, I think I've accurately complained about healthcare services. For now, I'm probably going to put in a formal complaint to them as well. And that formal complaint means get your crap together and start give our clothes back. Do it on a timely manner. Clean the rooms the way they're supposed to be cleaned. Hire somebody who's supposed to do it, who does it correctly. You had people here before and they all quit when this new guy came in. And a lot of them were they were doing not the best job in the world, but better than the new people, that's for sure. And the way that they're cutting up and joking, I think they know each other. I think this nepotism is what it is. But I can't be for sure. That's what it seems like. Because why would you have this woman who comes and cleans why is she even here? And then she's down there cutting up with the boss and stuff for quite some time and not doing her job. And then sometimes I don't see her for days at a time. In my room, I'll see her wandering around, doing stuff, but not cleaning my room, that's for sure. So I don't know what's going on, but the corporate needs to step in and do something about this. They need to give them proper stuff to cook with. They don't have a proper griddle. Their oven doesn't work right. It's hotter on one side than the other. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on in this kitchen that the corporate needs to fix. So, and then this guy who's in charge of the healthcare services, he's buffing the floor, and he leaves this big long yellow cord that goes to the buffer, right? He's got it plugged in down one end. I'm in a motorized wheelchair. So when I go down there, I'm going down there to check on something. He just leaves the cord while he's playing on his phone. Like he's looking for, I don't know, playlist or something. And I was just sitting there waiting for him. And he just, he moves the cord and I'm fixing to head up this other hallway, but he folds the cord in half, obviously, so he can pull it up. That's where he's going to plug it in, right? But then he leaves the cord sitting across the hallway that I'm trying to go to, and does nothing except start playing on his phone facing the opposite direction. And I said to him, I said, can you move this cord out of my way? He doesn't say anything to me. He just keeps doing what he's doing. So I'm assuming he was on his playlist. But who knows? He shouldn't have left that cord sitting like that. And, I mean, it's a nursing home. I'm in a motorized wheelchair, but what if people, they don't see it and they trip over it? The hell is wrong with this guy? You know, the corporate definitely needs to say something about that, that's for sure. Anyway, so like, comment, subscribe if you have similar stories or whatever. If you want to, if you can handle it, donate to me crypto, or buy me a cup of coffee, whatever. All of that's in the description. And until next time, thanks a lot.